Alrighty, welcome to episode 247 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla has updated its Australian model names to match its international nomenclature. This means that all non-performance variants currently on sale gain a premium designation, hence separating them from yet to be released non-premium versions which have undergone selective decontenting or feature reductions. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and once again, welcome to the program. Alrighty, has anyone got any opening questions or comments? Oh, sorry, actually, before we do that, I'll try and aim for a customary pregnant pause. As is customary, if there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please unmute and say hello. And now we got that pregnant pause out of the way. Yes, does anyone have any opening questions or comments?
So, Harold, obviously, with the name changes in Australia as well, that would signal that we'll probably get a standard Model Y at some point down the line. Would you agree?
I certainly hope so. Um, there is a market for a slightly decontented Model Y that is just more affordable, to be honest. I mean, uh, I forget the details of the what would you call it, total addressable market graph, where this was in US dollars, but it basically demonstrates that even a $5,000 reduction in a vehicle's price dramatically opens its addressable market for people that can afford to buy that vehicle. So any and let's face it, the so-called, well, what used to be called temporarily the standard Model 3 and Y, which was like a decontented version. I think it was the Model Y was decontented and the Model 3 was down spec'd. I think that's how it kind of went. Whereby, say, the Model Y had a less expensive glass roof, which was then lined with a insulating liner, roof liner. And the Model 3, I think, was pretty much physically the same, but perhaps the battery had slightly less capacity and a few other minor tweaks. Obviously, any incremental price reduction is going to open up Tesla's addressable market. And let's face it, there is a lot of competition from the other Chinese car makers, bearing in mind that all Teslas in Australia are made in China currently. Sorry, except for the performance Model Y, which comes from
Berlin.
Berlin. So yeah, absolutely, Pete. I do hope, and I really hope we get the rear wheel drive long range Model Y. Oh,
Yeah,
yes, Model Y, which would
yeah,
be great because let's face it, in Australia, in most parts of Australia, there's not a lot of snow and ice and things like that where, for all wheel drive is a very useful thing
yeah.
compared to its price. So yeah, definitely hope so, Pete. But there's no sign of it at any stage yet. So I guess it'll come slowly, like many other things have come to Australia.
Harold, has anyone tested the real world range yet of that 750 kilometre rear wheel drive Model 3?
Yes,
Yeah,
Bjorn Nyland did in Thailand, I
yeah,
think,
Thailand.
definitely in Thailand,
Yeah.
and he cracked over 300, over 800 k's on what he called his Sunday drive, which was
Wow.
driving on an average of probably, I think he drives an average of 80 k's an hour,
Mm.
and that was over 800 kilometers. And he's just
That's awesome.
recently tried the long range rear wheel drive Model Y, which is in Thailand, which is really weird because that's a right hand drive market. So, again, this is not a left hand, right hand drive thing. It's just the way Tesla has currently segmented the market. Uh, I think his video said it was he did well over 700 Ks. Or I think he did
Yeah,
700 Ks roughly
or
from memory
796 or something.
in the Model Y.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
right. Well, there you go.
Because the other one was the Model 3 went quite
Uh,
far. I think it was
was
900 Ks or something for the Model 3 rear wheel.
Oh, I thought it was 850, but oh yeah, maybe.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Or
Uh,
847 or something like that.
I
I
don't
can't
know.
exactly remember, but
I can't remember
substantial.
now. Yeah.
And yeah, it's funny because I was sort of thinking about a hot lap of the way you could do it most quickly, and I thought, imagine having a Model 3 that can do a real 600 Ks.
Yeah.
And then you could just avoid most of the crappy charges that are
I was
around, or
about
the
to
big
say,
Yeah.
gaps.
so you're guaranteed to get 600, 650 out of it, around the city.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. That's
Oh,
awesome.
easy.
Six around the city. Oh yeah, Damo. Look, easily, because even in a Model Y, I've had my current car, which is not the larger pack. It's the old-fashioned battery pack. It was a launch edition new Model Y, and I've had it like do 120 something watt hours per kilometer over 75 kilometers just driving the various ring roads and whatever around Perth, like Tonkin / Reed Highway / whatever, achieving roughly 80 Ks or so per hour, 90 Ks an hour in traffic on smooth roads. And it has spectacular efficiency. So I think
I put the image in the chat. 618 kilometers.
618 was that the Model Y?
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome. And
That's what he got, James.
yep.
Oh, that's
Image in the
great.
chat.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I watched the video. Or was that an all-wheel one or something?
no, that's the Model Y. That's the Model Y rear-wheel drive.
Oh, the rear wheel. Oh, yeah, the all-wheel long range. He got over 800 or something.
No, that was the. Oh, anyway.
Yeah.
You're talking about the Model 3.
No, the Model Y. Oh, Jesus, it started. Don't start, you fucker.
Put the image up. I've got the image captured in the chat.
There. That one. Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah.
It started again.
That's the rear wheel long range.
Yeah, the Model Y long range rear wheel Sunday drive over 800 Ks, and the Model 3 long range rear wheel over 900 Ks. So,
Yeah, I'm just trying to load up the image that James sent. Oh, here it is.
But I know with the Model 3 long range, a mate of mine, she bought that and she drove down to Bunbury and back and didn't charge, and she still had over 30%. And she reckons that she gets about 600 plus.
Okay, so at 90 Ks an hour, the long range rear wheel drive got 618 kilometers.
Oh, yeah,
And
that.
doing
I was saying-
120 Ks an hour was 447, which actually that's not too bad.
Yeah.
That is not too bad.
No, that stuff. But yeah, the Sunday drive's 80 Ks an hour sort of stuff.
Does he run
Yes.
his battery till flat or just till zero?
Oh,
Oh, it depends.
No, he doesn't even really get to zero per se.
It's like
He gets
a couple of
close to.
percent.
Yeah, he gets close to it. No, he doesn't. He does not run it flat, and he doesn't quite run it to zero. And for anyone wondering what's the difference is you've got about a 3.2 or 3.5 kilowatt hour buffer, energy buffer, which you can keep going to a sort of certain degree until a car literally says it's going to pull over, or sorry, asks you to pull over because it's got no power left to protect itself from bricking the battery pack.
A lot of Kyle Connor's videos, he runs them till they're flat, and then he runs around with a big 3-phase generator to charge them back up on the side of the road.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Yeah, he runs them till actually stopping. Bjorn actually does the same thing. He does do that, and he has a small, I don't know if it's a
EcoFlow.
Bluetti or EcoFlow. That's right,
EcoFlow.
EcoFlow battery, which he then he sort of there's a back road between two off ramps or something on a highway, and they're either end is very close to a supercharger. So towards the end of his testing, as it goes below zero, he then just goes up and down this sort of like a parallel side road, and he does do flat testing to when it stops, when the car loses power, and yeah. But yeah, it certainly look. It'd be great to get these cheaper options offerings because, like I said before, and like everyone knows in economic terms, the less expensive the car, the greater your addressable market, and obviously that's better for everyone. Alrighty. Any other questions or comments?
I've put another picture in there from Charles. I notice he's not here today.
Oh,
Got the
yes.
supercharger.
Yeah, so please, everyone, and it's funny because on the fly, I'm really torn as to who to vote for because, to be honest, both towns are equally worthy of a vote, and it actually doesn't matter which one gets it in the sense. We'll put up Chuck's post. So he says, it looks like Geraldton was a winner in the last round of supercharger voting, which is really great. And more importantly, it seems both Ceduna and Norseman are in the next round. These should absolutely be top two of all Australian voters, especially those in WA. Even if the results don't really matter, actually the results kind of do matter. It sends a strong symbolic message to Tesla, the need for a cross-country connection. It also means they have to build out the intermediate ones, a few in WA and another one in SA. It's actually so one reason for picking Norseman is actually this post is quite old because Norseman is this afternoon it was about 216 votes and I think Ceduna was 240-ish votes and Esperance was about half, it was about 118 votes. What's useful with Norseman is it basically convinces or gets Tesla to basically do Esperance as well, and then probably Jerramungup and then Ravensthorpe to get a route going from Albany through to Esperance to Norseman. We already know that Southern Cross is a winner, and we also know that there is council approval for Merredin just here. But it also gets either Kalgoorlie, Boulder, or Coolgardie as a supercharger to form that link to Norseman if Norseman was the winner. On the other hand, in one sense, Ceduna is a bit of a spur line whereby it kind of goes to nowhere because, you know, you've got the barrenness of the Nullarbor, you know, as far as charging goes. However, it's about 450 kilometers to Port Augusta, which actually this is a location that's the red means it's actually an active location. So there is some merit. Ceduna is a longer stretch. Well, it's actually very similar. So if Ceduna had a supercharger, then Tesla would be under pressure to put one basically at Kimber and somewhere like Woodner or one, there'd be two towns in between that it would need to put superchargers necessarily, which is similar to what Tesla would have to do in Western Australia. So it actually doesn't really matter. Now, my strategy, I've currently used two votes. I voted one vote for Norseman, and I did another vote for a town in New Zealand because Australia and New Zealand are separate. So I'm pretty sure that doesn't clash, or I could be wrong. Oh, and with all due respect to Joondalup, Pete, and I know you'd dearly love to have a supercharger at Joondalup. Um, Tesla's going to put one there anyway. Like it doesn't need to be voted on. It's not a place. It doesn't solve a route problem whereby you need to get from A to Z and you
Sure.
need B, C, D, E, F along the way.
Sure.
Yes, it's an urban place. It will get done one way or another. And at worst, you've got a 10K drive to another supercharger or 20K drive. Whereas obviously along the Nullarbor, hapless EV owners, and it's very sad to say, are at the mercy of, well, at least the Horizon Power version or leg of the WA EV network, or better to say EV not work. Sorry, more accurate to say EV not work along the Nullarbor. At least the WA leg of it. So strategically, it probably doesn't make a lot of difference if you vote for Norseman and Ceduna to basically get those two locations as high as possible. And it really doesn't matter which one wins because, in essence, traversing the Nullarbor, either location gets the job done. It's pretty line ball. The true goal, of course, is to try and get Tesla to go between Ceduna and Norseman, because, like I said, sadly, for as long as foreseeable, the WEV network is a basket case. Anything east of Norseman is just a basket case. Every single site has problems. And some of them are never going to get fixed unless some drastic action happens from the WA government. And there's no voter or electorate stress that government is under at the moment. So I'm certain its care factor is below zero. Now in South Australia, it's not as bad, but it is pretty bad west of Ceduna. So either site is going to achieve what we want, which is to try and eventually unite Perth to the eastern seaboard using Tesla superchargers. But yeah, definitely worthwhile mentioning, James, for sure. And Paul, go and vent.
Oh, I wasn't going to vent. I was just going to say, yeah, I voted for Norseman and Esperance because I'm like, fuck the rest of the country. I'm just trying to sort us out. And I voted for Joondalup.
Oh, don't vote for. Let's just. Anyway, I think I haven't got the. I haven't got the live.
Votes.
I haven't got the live map up. Yes, but what we wouldn't want is Joondalup to win over Norseman or Ceduna, because that would be a travesty.
I don't think it will.
4 people road tripping.
Yeah, I agree. And I, as you know, desperately want Joondalup, and it's got nothing to do with me being selfish because I live near Joondalup. Because by the time that supercharger is up and running, we would have sold and moved on. So, but it makes zero sense to want to have a supercharger near where you live. I mean, not zero.
Last one you'll use.
Yeah, if you want a supercharger where you need one to get to your destination that you want to get to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, no one who lives in Perth with a Tesla would use a supercharger if they had to pay for it, unless they, well, in the difficult circumstance, and Carmen isn't in the room at the moment, but she has a circumstance whereby where she lives, she's not permitted to charge her car by any means, and therefore her most convenient and less expensive means is going to Kings Park Supercharger after hours. And that's because of the belligerence of a strata company. But if you have off-street parking, you can absolutely run your car and charge it from home. And that's at roughly 30 cents per kilowatt hour, which is cheaper than any supercharger is. But if you are an Uber driver, or you use your car for business purposes, or you normally do charge at home, but you might have forgotten to plug in, and you suddenly find yourself having to embark on a longer journey, then it is obviously appropriate and convenient to go to the nearest supercharger or fast DC charger that's reliable and quickly charge up to get you on your way. But you would never do it willingly by choice over and above home where you can charge at home. So yeah, so totally agree, Pete. It's great. It's a nice to have, but that's something Perth already has the market or the a market for fast DC charging, an active market. Whereas in the bush there is no market because you've got to literally do that, build it before they come.
My reasoning for Joondalup wasn't so absolutely Ceduna or Norseman would be just much more needed than Joondalup, but Joondalup would be much more utilised because you could argue that it's probably the second most important urban centre in Perth after the CBD. And in the whole of Joondalup, there is one single CCS2 port that's available to the public, and that's usually used by during weekdays, during middle of the day. It's usually almost exclusively used by the Centrelink staff because the federal government gave them EVs but didn't give them chargers. So during their lunch breaks, they go and charge their cars there. So so the two really standout locations in Perth, so I'm talking Metro Perth, is Joondalup and the airport, which are completely under-serviced. But yeah, if there was a supercharger in Joondalup, it would be busier than Karrinyup, it would be busier than Kings Park. You could justify a 10 or a 12 bay supercharger and it'd be used all the time. So not only would it be used by obviously all the people that use superchargers in Karrinyup and Kings Park, but you've got all the apartments up in Joondalup, and a lot of those apartment buildings people can't charge. And also Joondalup is right at the north of the metropolitan area. So if you're coming from Geraldton or anywhere from up north and you get hit by a southwester and your range halves and you desperately need a charger, well, there's Joondalup. Also, if you're heading up north and, you've used up, 20-30% in the city or what have you, then you can get to 100% and then get to Gero or wherever. So, there's I just think it would just be one that would be very, very well utilised.
But the thing is, it's going to get done anyway, Pete. So just like we know Osborne Park's getting done, which is actually even cleverer because then it also gets non-Tesla vehicles to sort of look at that puppy in the window going, oh, I wish I had one of those instead of the car I've got at the moment. But yeah, no doubt, anything in Perth is going to get done because Tesla will see the pressure points and fill the market because they can instantly get a healthy cash flow for their investment. So yeah, absolutely. Mike, I'll get to you in 2 seconds, and then James. But just for clarity, at the moment, as we look at the voting, and a surprising few number of people have voted. So please do go onto Tesla's website. We can see that Norseman has 217. What is going on there? 217 votes. As we drill in, thankfully Joondalup and most of the other Perth locations have got less than 100, a fair bit less, with Mandurah 52. Like I said, Norseman has 215, Esperance about roughly half that, and Ceduna 226. Like I said, and also gratifyingly, there are no other locations in Australia that have actually cracked over 100. So
They are the top two.
Pleasingly, they're the top two at the moment. So if we go, I think we can do. No, we can't really do that. It doesn't work.
If you do Asia Pacific,
yeah, that's not going to work.
But scroll down to 32, and that's where the first one appears.
It says there you need to log in to vote. Have you not
true.
voted yet?
No, I have. I haven't logged in. That's all. So because I'm not logged in, it says I have to log in to vote. When I log in, it'll say that I've had 2 votes. Oh, sorry, that I've got 3 votes to go. So because you
You
get
get
5 votes. So I really want either Sejuna or Norseman. And like I said, I initially reflexively thought Norseman's a go, but to be honest, either location achieves a lot because it makes it well, actually it for WA it only adds Coolgardie or Kalgoorlie because we know Southern Cross is coming. So really, Tesla, if you vote for Norseman, you're going to get one extra location, which is in between Southern Cross and Norseman. I guess you could try and argue that there might be a loop going from Albany to Esperance to Norseman. That's a possibility too. But Sejuna, like I said, equally between Sejuna and Port Augusta is about 450 k's. You're going to need at least 2 other locations, if not a third, and that's useful as well. Because let's face it, we just want this gap to close by one means or another, and if either one of those locations, and look, to be honest, I was super surprised that Geraldton got up. I don't even know how that happened, and that's good to see too, because if Geraldton is installed, we then know that Greenhead will also get installed because that was on their original rollout map, or should I say it was in, if it wasn't in the rollout map, it was certainly in the Shire of whichever one whatever it's called, not Yilgarn, something else.
The Dongon?
No, it was initially it was called Lehman, but it was Greenhead or vice versa. Lehman, I think it was going to be in, but it ended up being planned to be Greenhead. So that would get that done as well, being that Geraldton has won. Of course, it'll be tough to get further north than that because the next obvious location would be a route to Carnarvon. But really, you need to get all the way to Karratha to make it really worthwhile. Okay, we'll go in order of hands. So, Mike.
So I voted for the first time for both of the 2 key ones at the each end of the not the Nullarbor network or whatever you called it.
Not the EV not work.
That's it.
WIEV not work.
So how does this voting work? Do you get so many a year, or do you get so many in your lifetime?
Each round. No. So each
round.
quarter,
Okay, cool.
as a new round opens, should I say, as voting for a new round opens, every person that holds a Tesla account, and I think technically you don't need to own a Tesla, you just have to have a Tesla account, gets 5 votes.
Well, that means.
But you can only vote for each location once, or should I say, you can only vote. Yeah, you can only apply 1 vote to any location. So, which is a shame because I could just dump all 5 votes in Norseman or Sejuna, and that would be good. But that's not how voting works.
So my wife should be able to vote then because she has her own email. Obviously, she's a driver on the car, but she has a separate email.
Separate, yeah, but does she have a Tesla account? Has she opened a Tesla account?
Anyone can vote.
I think
All
so.
they do is set up a
Yeah.
Tesla.
So it's not, yeah, so she's got a Tesla account, which if you set her,
I'll play with it anyway.
I think if you've invited her as a driver for your car, I
Yes.
think the only way a recipient of that invite can utilize it is to open an account, although I could be incorrect.
No,
because you have to use that to log into your
correct.
Tesla account to gain the access or accept the access. Yes. So she can vote. So vote.
Cool.
Ask her to vote early and vote often,
Yes.
or at least up to 5 times.
The real question, though, was a few meetings ago, you mentioned some mob whose name escapes me. They were looking for something like 50% funding to put all those stations across the Nullarbor, or did I misunderstand you?
No, that has been officially stated by the CEO of Illumina Global, which is an Australian company, or an Australian domiciled company, which Lisa Marsh has announced on a podcast that that Illumina are applying for ARENA funding for what is a heavy transport corridor between Adelaide and Perth, and that should that be successful, her stated intention was to install fast DC chargers between basically Perth and Adelaide by the middle of this year.
So that's all we know still. That was, I think, the same as last
If
time. We don't
successful,
know.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah, well, these superchargers, I voted for Esperance as well as the other two because I like Esperance. And I'm a bit like Pete, you know, I'm so stressed when I leave my house and have to go to Currup, and I'm just glad the supercharger's there. For those that don't know, I'm about 3 kilometres from Currup.
Yeah, you can attempt to precondition your battery all you like, Mike, but you're going to be on a rather large diversion.
Yes.
You're going to spend a 10% of your battery just to get it warmed up so it can charge faster.
Yes.
But yes, I dare say you would only ever use the Carron-Up supercharger, let's say, on a couple of days before Christmas at Carron-Up, where all the car parks are full, except there's one stall available at the supercharger, and you'll quickly just dip in and run up the stairs and go to Audi and get your discounted whatevers, and then flee as quickly as you could.
Yes.
I
imagine
just to
that
get the
I'll be
parking
using
spot.
it coming up, because although I'm at home and I can do a long charge, I want to charge up to get to Albany. So I'll probably just need to get to 80. And depending on what we've been doing during the day with the 10 amp, I may not get to 80 when I want to leave at 4 o'clock in the morning.
To get to Albany via Albany Highway or via the coast route?
No, straight route.
Oh, you just go straight to Kojonup, job done. See you later.
Sure. But I normally
Easy.
run my battery at 50, right? Which means
Oh,
it
right,
gets down
yeah.
25 during the day. So then I've got, say, from 25 to 80, and depending on when I click it in, it might not get there by 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
So
fair
I can
enough.
just nip round the corner, and it's almost
Yeah,
house
true.
price at Carron-Up at that time.
Yes, exactly.
And I might even be able to
Yeah.
charge above 80 and not get a congestion charge at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, you won't. Exactly. Precisely.
So
Very good.
yeah, here's a question. So do you reckon you can get from Geraldton to Calbarry and back on a charge? You should be able to, shouldn't you?
No. Oh, sorry. You said.
So Geraldton to Calbarry and back.
Oh, sorry. That's the other way. That's going north.
Yeah, sorry, I've just
Yes.
changed.
Yes. Sorry. Yes, you can. However, there is a WAV network Chempower charger at Calbarry.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and there's also I think it's still there. You'd have to check on PlugShare. A Tesla destination charger, which is free
Right.
at the
No, we
same
don't use
location.
pretty much miles, but we used to go to Calbarry all the time.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, look, Calbarry's
About an hour and a
80
half.
Ks, or is it? Yeah, is it 80 Ks on the coast road, and then on the inland road it's a bit more because it's an L-shaped route rather than going via the salt thingy, Port Gregory or whatever it's called. Yeah, absolutely, you can go there and back, but fear not, there is actually fairly reliable charging in Calbarry, which is good if you want to do side trips, say to the gorge or whatever. That look out over the gorge and that sort of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I sort of
easy.
came in when you were talking about those long ranges. I keep looking at this long range Model 3 at the moment. I just keep looking at it.
I literally thought I could do a very hot lap on that Model 3 because I could basically go from Perth to Northampton, Northampton to Carnarvon, Carnarvon to Karratha, and not have to rely on the 18 kilowatts at Manila turn off or the 43 kilowatts at Nanyatara. And then I could go Karratha, Port Hedland, and then Port Hedland to Broome, and not have to worry about the 48 kilowatts at Pardue, Sandfire, and Bidgidanga, or Lagrange. sorry, and I could easily go from Broome to possibly even Halls Creek if and when the vandalism at Fitzroy Crossing so bad it doesn't work. And even if Fitzroy Crossing was okay, I could then possibly get to Warman, probably get to Warman, if the vandalism at Halls Creek is too bad. And I could probably get from Three Ways to Mount Isa actually quite easily, almost doing 110 k's an hour without having to put up with a three-phase socket at Camberwell.
Well, there's a
And
challenge.
yep.
Sorry, go on. I
Oh,
was going to say there's a
and
challenge to the group is to beat your record in one of those going around Australia.
they have. I don't want to be a poser, but you need some fortitude to do that sort of ridiculousness. And actually, you need a very healthy dose of stupidity. In fact, a lot of it. But anywho, James, are you going to be? You're on mute,
You're
mate.
muted there, mate.
Sorry, I was talking to the people in the room here. Cameron put in a really interesting photograph of the charges in Helidon Spa.
Yeah, I've got another angle I can put up.
So are they Tesla branded or are they non-branded Tesla ones?
Well, they look like Tesla ones. I would assume they're Tesla ones, even though they're wrapped up. It comes up on their Tesla supercharger hotspot,
Yeah.
but it's not activated yet.
Because
Yeah,
that's a
it's
really
Tesla.
interesting one. So
It's
that's 100 k's west of Brisbane on a private property in a
Yep.
caravan park spa. So that's a really interesting sort of charging location.
yes. So that's that one is it's interesting because they've put a base slab down, a base concrete slab, and they've had conduits that you can see here. So this has been partially installed, and it's also prefab. So this is a classic prefab whereby you have the power box and the 4 stalls, and then you've got another power box and just 2 stalls. But what I believe they're doing is they're wiring it so they're splitting one box does 3, and then the other box does the other 3, even though this slab is separate to this one, because you can just see here that's actually metal, so it's steel or zinc hot dipped zinc steel, and then you've got your conduit here. That will be the main switchboard cabinet. So yeah, that's a proper Tesla supercharger location.
It's actually right next to the Pacific Fuels, right on the highway. I just sent you a drop pin if you want to have a look on the Google Maps.
Yep, I'll just bring that
And
up.
it's depending on what map they give you, it's roughly where all the shipping containers are. And it's in line, so it's when the Tesla lights are eventually up, it'll be basically perpendicular to the highway. So you'll look over and you'll just see red Teslas at night, you know.
And that's out of Toowoomba, which is interesting because there is a supercharger in Toowoomba. So unfortunately, the pin just gives you a general thing, but it's somewhere there.
It's at the Pacific Fuels. If you zoom in, you go to your map,
There we go.
change it to spot.
Spa
Yeah, that one.
Pacific
So if you change it,
Fuels.
click layers satellite. Yeah, zoom in. See those shipping containers to your right?
Yep.
It's in line there with the highway.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's good. There is also a supercharger at Toowoomba, so it's
Yeah, it's
interesting
only a
that they've.
130 there.
Yes,
So I'm hoping
that's
they'll
right.
get 350s there. Or 325. Is it 325 or 350?
Oh, you mean if it's a V4? If
Yeah.
it's a V4 cabinet?
Well, they look
Um,
like V4s.
No. So there's a difference between the actual
definitely.
stalls. The stalls have been V4 for a while, but the power cabinet,
Hardware.
the big white box, has been V3. So
Right.
I think the only V4 power converters are in the States at the moment.
Right.
So when they come out, they will be able to do 500 kilowatts.
What, the V4?
Yep,
Yeah, right.
yep. And in fact, there's a version where you can get higher than that. No, that's about right. No, I think that's right. So for the non-MCS, which is for the for the Tesla Semi and other prime movers, for the CCS, it will be 500 kilowatts.
What's the Cybertruck go up to in the US?
About that, I think
They
500.
do 500.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
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 I think Kyle Connor at Out of Spec Reviews has done a Cybertruck at 500 kilowatts at one of the very few version 4 power cabinet supercharger sites.
Yeah, right.
In fact, I think that video was just done very recently. So,
Very cool.
I dare say there will be no V4 power boxes in Australia for a while.
Yeah,
But as soon
well,
as
don't want to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but I was talking to a Tesla service tech. No, it wasn't a service tech, he's a salesman. And I didn't want to take no for an answer, but he told me that it's actually harder than it sounds to change from left to right hand drive.
oh, you mean
Apparently,
for the Cybertruck?
for the Cybertruck, yeah. We got on the Cybertruck subject, and he just told me that it's too hard to change and it's something to do with engineering. And yeah, didn't want to take no for an answer, as you can imagine.
I just don't. If the rationale behind that answer is so as to convert it to right-hand drive, I just don't buy it. I
Yeah,
really don't, because um, we all know that the steering wheel is attached to a force feedback module, which would simply fit in the same void as where the glove box is in the American car. And the pedals are just trivial. They literally are just literally trivial. That they are just um, pedals attached to fancy potentiometers, attached to a little electrical thing that converts the motion, the movement, or the angle to um, actually, I can't remember if the Cybertruck has brake by wire. I think it does. I think it does. Anyway,
Yes.
okay, yeah, it does. Right.
Yeah.
And the force feedback steering wheel, there's not a problem. Whereas on the Model S and X refresh versions, there was an issue with the motor mount binding with the steering shaft for a right-hand drive version. The Cybertruck doesn't have that. The only other thing it has to do, on the presumption that no body differences have to be implemented, such as, rounding off the sharp edges and whatever. The only other thing that has to happen is the one unitary wiper, which is on the driver's side in the US, has to be on the driver's side in the Australian version. Because of the way it sweeps, it leaves a vacant or a dirty or an unswept section that's not the arc that it covers on the passenger side. Of course, the US version, we are sitting on their passenger side, so you have to basically swap the large wiper. Now, the only possibility there is if part of the casting, the front casting, is all but certain to have like a void in it on the left-hand side of the Cybertruck to accommodate the necessarily large wiper motor, then all that has to happen is that front casting has to be modified and have that void swapped to have it swap sides. And we already know from an interview that Munro and Associates had at Giga Austin with the Cybertruck team that they were looking at some of the molds, and they literally Tesla explained that the actual mold itself that makes the casting, it has removable inserts which are wearing items. In fact, most of the surfaces on the actual on the mold where the aluminium flows, they're all replaceable because they all wear it to different degrees. And because they're replaceable, you can then replace it with a piece that has a void. And that's a small incremental cost. Bearing in mind again that the Cybertruck, if you were to compare it to a successful car launch, well, at best, it's a very low volume product. And the thing is, Tesla never really aims for low volume products except perhaps for the Roadster. So on all metrics, the Cybertruck at the moment is not the great commercial success it was promised to be, or it was thought to be. When Tesla had announced, or at least employees of Tesla or the executive of Tesla had announced that there were like in excess of 2 million reservations. Well, you would have thought if there were 2 million active reservations, they would have done their best to build as many of those as they could. And yet in all of human history, they've probably built less than, I don't know, 100,000 Cybertrucks ever.
But
And
Yeah, well,
forget the price at which those reservations were put down.
$100 US. So it was just a ticket to.
No, I don't mean that. I mean the $40,000.
Oh yes,
You
Yeah.
know,
That's correct.
and
Yeah.
it came out at 100 and even now I think the cheapest Cybertruck is it $70,000 or $80,000 US?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Have a look on the site.
I think
It's
so.
so by all metrics, it is a failed mass produced product because it's not being mass produced in any measure. So
even though it's the number one selling electric truck over
Oh.
there at the moment.
Correct.
yeah, but that's only because all the others have stopped making them. I mean, yeah, that's right. It's the least failed product truck of all the other EV trucks. It's failed the least, or it's been the most of the least successful trucks. Whatever you want, however you want to, I mean, there's no point dancing around the thing. It is not. I'm certain if Elon Musk, presuming nothing changes in the future, so Tesla has started to pivot to say that the Cybertruck would make a great delivery or autonomous delivery vehicle for bulky goods, which it may yet prove to be very effective at, and that's plausible. But as a consumer ute, it's not a great mass market success. So, the other thing too, Cameron, was what that salesperson might have. The reason why they said that was because that is similar to what I forget the Tesla gentleman's name is.
Wes?
Wes.
Yeah.
Tweeted in response to someone on a tweet that was made about Cybertrucks coming into the UAE. He said, and like I said, the way he answered it just didn't make sense. He goes, someone said, "Oh, what about Australia?" And he goes, "Well, not for another 28 years or 24 years or 23 years
Yeah. I remember.
until
That was
Australia
last week.
changes its left-hand drive market rules or something." It was like, it just didn't make sense because
For him to say that, but that amount of years, he knows that a car has to be over 30 years old. So it's kind of like he knew what he was talking about a bit, but Harold. Because
it is.
for a
It's 30
left-hand
years.
drive car to be licensed, it's got to be more than 30 years old. It's like he knew that.
Yeah, but that was implying, but he didn't couch that to say, well, then you could bring a second-hand one in, because it would obviously be second-hand, because you can't buy a brand new 30-year-old Cybertruck.
They do
Yeah, it
run
just-
around a demo vehicle here in Queensland.
Oh yes,
A demo
well, the thing
Cybertruck.
is, you can get a permit to do anything. So that would have been permitted as a experimental vehicle, and only to be driven by employees of the permitted company and things like that. You can do all sorts of things in tiny numbers and get all sorts of permits and but then there are all sorts of restrictions. But like I said, I personally, well, the other thing too is, let's say that's true. Let's presume that what that Tesla employee said was absolutely true, that it really can't be done because dot dot dot. Well, then every day that Tesla persists with the Cybertruck information on their on the Australian version of their website
True.
belies or accentuates
funny.
what would end up being a rather large fat lie,
Mm-hmm.
and one that, if it's true today that they know that it can't be done, means that every day forward is accentuating a known lie, and that's just unconscionable. So it's just not plausible. You know, if a decision has been made that it's not going to happen, or we're not going to pay for it, or we're not going to, whatever reason, you know, once a decision's been made, then Tesla's legal team would very quickly get onto them and say, well, now we've got to officially kill it off, because every day we purport to offer something or say, click here for more information, is just accentuating a lie.
Yep.
So that's my big counter on that. Is
I did just finish taking a Juniper Model Y Performance for a test drive as well. So, and he was trying to, you know, you going to buy it? And
and you go, oh, I'd rather just get a Cybertruck, and he goes, yeah, but that's not going to happen. So why don't you just buy this today, bro?
Yeah, that's maybe what I was feeling. But at the same time, I don't know. I didn't really see much change in the resolution of the screen. I was looking at it, but yeah, definitely.
Unless
the
your eyes are
FSD is
5 years
amazing.
old, unless you've got 5-year-old eyes, and you want to
Yeah.
pixel peep or whatever.
Yeah, but the
Um,
FSD was fairly flawless. I'll give it that.
yeah, you probably haven't used FSD long enough, to be honest.
Yeah, no,
FS
I've only got hardware 3 FSD myself.
Oh,
But
sorry. Yeah.
the hardware 4 stuff's just next level.
Yes, it is. That's deadly. That's dead. That's absolutely dead right. It is It is true FSD supervised, whereas what is called the same. Actually, I don't even know if they call it supervised in hardware 3 land, but whatever they call it, it's not what you get on hardware 4 currently. And bearing in mind, that's only a mere shadow of what we will get once we get version 14 sometime in the future.
Mm. So yeah, it could
All
have been
right.
a combination of things.
Oh yeah, and Cameron, absolutely. When you go from a hardware 3 FSD to a hardware 4 FSD, it's beyond chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
Make no mistake, anyone who has a hardware 3 car that has tried FSD in that kind of car, it really is just autopilot with features, and it has all the foibles of autopilot, which is near endless or near continuous phantom braking in many situations, and all sorts of sniffing off to left or right for runoff lanes and dotted lines, and if you go into an intersection with traffic lights and there's multiple lanes and those bent guidelines, it'll sniff them as well all the time. It's completely a new revelation when you hop in a hardware 4 car with FSD. There's just literally no comparison, none at all. But then the first world problem is, once you get into a hardware 4 car with true FSD supervised, you will still see, because we're still, I mean, it's got to be a record for no change in software. It's been what? It's going to push nearly 6 months.
Well,
At least 5 months.
Speaking of that, I actually talked to him, and he said that up until the 31st of March, any full FSD hardware 3 cars can transition into the new hardware 4 car if you were to make a purchase. And that's guaranteed right up till the 31st, even if it's delivered months later, they'll still honour it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think that was something that was actually mentioned in the States, as you didn't have to actually
Yeah,
have it delivered. You had to
he
you
told
had
me,
to order it.
because he said if I was to purchase one on March 31st at 10 to midnight, whatever, they will honour transitioning the old FSD to the new car.
I do dare say, even though Elon Musk has, oh no, actually, look, there is a difference. So there's a difference between Tesla saying that it will stop offering the purchase of FSD for a new car after Valentine's Day, which is coming up this weekend. There's a difference between that, which is probably going to be what Tesla does, and it offering a transfer of someone who already has purchased FSD on a hardware 3 car to hardware 4. So it's not impossible that Tesla might, even after this quarter, continue to make that offer for someone to get out of hardware 3 into hardware 4. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that Tesla will keep doing that for the time being, until or unless they can crack the the version 14 Lite to be ported to hardware 3. But they may also consider it good customer relations to just let customers that have purchased FSD in a hardware 3 car to roll it into a hardware 4 one if they buy a new one, even sometime into the more distant future. It's certainly plausible. Because Elon Musk has several times said this is the last time a transfer will ever happen. All right, I'll do one more last one. And that was like, a year and a half ago. And it's happened subsequently since. But like you say, one day that won't be the case. And that day could be the end of next month. So if you are thinking, look, if you're sort of wavering a little bit, you've got an older hardware 3 car, and it becomes and you've bought FSD. If you haven't bought FSD, don't worry about it. It's not that there's no argument to buy the next one unless you want to rent FSD, get the subscription for $149 a month. If you've been a long-suffering FSD owner in a hardware 3 car, if you can afford it, and you also can appreciate the other benefits that getting the newer car does with better features, longer range, fresher interior, blah, 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 then now is a great time to order one, for sure. Alrighty. And sorry, the hands up. Oh, I didn't even notice who went up first, so you have to fight amongst yourselves, work it out.
I believe it was Mike. Mike had his hands up.
Okay,
first.
Mike, go, and then James.
Thanks, guys. Sort of changing the subject slightly. Has anybody seen a marine blue vehicle in the wild? I don't even know whether they've got one at the galleries or not.
You mean the Model S marine blue?
No, the 3 or the Y. You can get in marine blue now. The new blue.
Yes.
And
yes,
I think it's
several.
similar to the Mazda dark blue, but I don't know. I just wonder whether anybody's seen one or not. In the
Marine
wild,
blue. You mean like what? Is that the same as what Harold's got?
No,
that's glacier blue.
The marine blue is a dark blue, and unless you've got good lighting, it's almost black, I think. But that's why I'm trying to find out, because I'm sort of interested in that colour, but I haven't seen one.
That's not a Model 3 colour, is it?
Yes, but I think also you can get the Ys. I think Performance Y, you can get it, I think.
Yeah, I'm just trying to bring it up now. I'm just trying to bring it up now, Mike.
I mean, if anybody hasn't seen it, it's no problem.
Actually, it's not the Model Y. I can tell you now, it's not Model Y. Oh, sorry, no, I can't tell you that. Apologies. I've just got to scroll up before this computer dies.
I thought you
Here we
could get it
go.
to performance way
Performance.
out
Yeah,
of
just picking
Berlin.
performance. There you go. It's called Marine Blue.
That's it.
That looks very much like the standard blue that used to be.
I think it's darker. I've seen, high res pics on X, but I haven't seen one and the colours are all similar to Mazda colours that Tesla have got, in my humble opinion. And Mazda have got a very dark blue colour. And I'm wondering if it's similar to
Tesla's
that.
blue was, yeah, actually it might be a little bit dark.
The old blue is lighter than this.
Yeah, okay.
I don't mean the Glacier blue. I mean the whatever deep blue or whatever it was called.
Have you gone to Aussie Park to ask them? Because they might have a demo.
I just thought I'd ask you, see if anybody'd seen one.
Oh, look, the best thing is just drop in at Aussie and Park and just say, hey, have you guys got a marine blue example that you can look at?
I mean, it's not out the front because they've got a red and something else out the front. But
but they've also got demo test cars that aren't always, might not necessarily always be out the front. Or if you want it to be more guaranteed of getting to sight a marine blue, is go to O'Connor, because that's where their delivery centre is, and they probably be more than happy to show you a pre-delivery one or something.
Have they got a supercharger there, so I can want to get there?
Nope.
Just kidding.
Nope.
Just kidding.
I mean, there is one at Coogee, so supercharger that is. Oh, and there's one on the way at Kings Park, Mike.
And yes, halfway cool.
That's halfway. That's right, exactly.
And
Jane,
there's one coming to Osborne Park if you wanted it.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
So,
don't know when, but it's coming. And also one in Armidale that's on the map coming as well.
Yeah, I saw some people late leaving when I went to fuel up the petrol car last night. Late leaving the Tesla store gallery there. So I don't know whether they were testing charging up or whether they were just workers that were late going home.
It's impossible to tell. It could be, who knows? Could be anything. James.
Yeah, on the FSD that you're talking about, there was a question in Facebook asking you, is it worth upgrading to FSD with a new car if your main drive is Perth to Bunbury 2 to 3 times a week?
Oh, yes.
FSD.
I would say 100%.
Yeah. If we talk about the current crappiest FSD supervisor that we're ever going to put up with, which is the current version that hasn't changed for nearly 5 months, but will change very soon, even now it's completely worth it. And that's with all its foibles of, sometimes if it's in start-stop traffic on the freeway in different locations, it can sometimes do some sort of random lane change or attempt a lane change when it kind of can't change, and it can be it can make you look like a little bit of an idiot because it just sort of speculatively puts the indicator on when it kind of shouldn't. But if you just ignore those tiny little foibles, if you're on a, like Perth to Bunbury, there's no other way to drive. Except, and at the moment, on that drive, it will not maintain the speed limit. So if you were to buy it today and have it installed, you would be annoyed, or even if you were to subscribe, so you don't have to buy it, because there is depending on what you do with that money, there is an arguable case that says you don't really have to stress too much about whether you pay down the $10,100 today or just pay $149 for the near future. It's absolutely worth it. Absolutely. But the current software does not maintain the speed limit. So you'll be pulse width modulating your right foot on the accelerator to keep it up to speed when you're in the, not so much the 100 zone, but a little bit in the 100 k an hour zone, but certainly when you're in the 110k hour zone, because it'll kind of droop down to about 95 k's an hour most of the time on that route. But
Harold,
that's the only annoying bit.
I did that trip a couple of months ago, and I had zero issues. So yeah, just put it on 100 on the freeway, and I can't remember if I had to touch the accelerator or not to get it to 100, but I didn't have to keep my foot on it. So
Yeah. What about the 110 when you get past
You're running.
yeah,
past Leader and whatever, like towards Rockingham? How
I
did it go then?
don't recall that being an issue at all. And even so, last time I did it, you know how there's the speed limit zone, the
Yeah, the constant the
Point to point.
point to
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
Bridge speed zone.
yeah, exactly. So it didn't. So on all my old cars, it comes up every time, and on the new Model Y, it didn't come up last time. But so the time before last time, but a couple of months ago when I did the trip, it came up again. So so it seems to
Yeah,
be
but did it
up.
stay at speed? Like so
Yeah.
for example, on the 13,500 Ks of the FSD lap I did, my right foot had never been so sore and if you look at my videos, if you look at my 4 times the speed of sound video that does the whole lap in three and a bit hours, you can see my right foot as a blur, and you see my toe going like that, because you look on the bottom, on the middle right hand corner of where my toe is, it's continually pulsing to keep it up at 110. So it's just a known thing. It's Tesla warned everyone about it when they first released the software, which has been unchanged ever since. All I'm saying is, if this person either bought FSD tomorrow or subscribed to it tomorrow, and here's another one. Great friend of mine, Jason Stanley, he lives in Denmark. He does not use FSD between Denmark and Armidale because he cannot stand the fact it doesn't keep up to speed, whereas Autopilot does, generally.
You're running hardware 3 or 4, Pete.
Four. He's got 4.
Yeah.
We're only talking about proper FSD supervised
Yeah.
hardware 4. So Jason militantly will not use it because he can't stand the fact he has to use his right foot. If in his opinion, if the car can't keep the speed, then he's going to use whatever means where it can, and crappy old Autopilot does generally do that. And then when he gets at the intersection of whatever it is, Albany Highway and whatever at where Armidale is, he at the stoplight, he'll then put the car in park and change it to FSD, and then he's happy with FSD. So, I mean, all I'm saying is, as we speak today, the software is as crappy as it would ever be, and it'll only get vastly better. So I just want to, temper expectations, because for some people that is annoying to have to keep maintaining the speed up.
Why does
That's
it
all
hold
I'm
the
saying.
speed limit good around town, but because it's brilliant.
Because it's a lower speed limit. So it
Okay.
seems it's generally better at anything less than, say, at or about 80 and less. And the thing too is, as we get more and more used to using it, we might subconsciously just blip the throttle, because even on Autopilot, to be honest, Autopilot often, as the speed limit increases or has increased, it's a bit reticent to sort of accelerate up to it. So you just give it a little subconscious blip, and then it kind of goes, "Oh yeah, okay, I know what you mean," or then it speeds up.
Just to
But at
prompt it.
least in Autopilot, it will maintain that speed. It never droops down. But in FSD, beyond certainly 90 or 100 k's an hour, and at 110, it almost never. Sometimes if you're on the freeway and there are other cars, it sometimes sort of keeps up the speed often, but not always. But if you're on a lonely highway and there's no one really in front of you, it will droop down. And look, it's just the way it is. This is the very first and only version of software we've had so far. So there's nothing. It's not by way of criticism. It's just the fact, and it will get vastly better. I mean, no one is talking about this in the States. With the latest versions of FSD, which we
Do you
will
think-
eventually get.
Do you think we'll get the speed modes with 14 when we get it, Harold? Like Mad
Don't
Max
know.
and that?
No, don't know, Damo. So,
I'd be surprised if we get it, to be honest.
yeah. I mean, look, in Australia, unlike the United States, in the United States, what was it? If you're 10 over, and if you're under 10 over, you're fine. If you're one over that, you're gone. Or like they have we treat cars like fish in a school, and we only take the outliers. So no matter what the school is doing, they'll only ever attack the very front fish that's going faster than the rest of them. In Australia, we have a strict adherence or a strict speed limit adherence policy. It's a limit, not a target. If you go over it, you are infringing. There is no excuse to go over the speed limit. So it's a different attitude. I don't know if we'll ever see the Mad Max hurry, standard and chill, or sloth or something, whatever they call it. Because bearing in mind, we are not getting a modified version of the American training. The FSD Down Under is literally its own model that's been trained with real and synthesized data. So, and that's probably why we haven't gotten an update for quite a while, because Cortex 2 is not yet been completed, Tesla's Cortex 2 training computer. And so basically the Australian software is competing for time with all the American and other countries' FSD software development or training time, compute time. So that's obviously why we haven't got a new update yet. I mean, thankfully we got, an update being the actual software that we got back in August. But, we just haven't had an update yet.
I'm happy with it. I love it.
So will
I
it?
couldn't live without it.
Yeah, absolutely, Damo. Yep, go Carmen.
Carmen was trying to say.
Does it give any other improvements like longer range charging?
So what do you mean, Carmen? So you mean improvements in software or the cars themselves?
Cars?
Oh yes, so for example, the new Model 3 that's in Australia, the rear wheel drive long range, that has a stated range of 750 Ks,
Oh
which
wow!
would be more like a practical range of probably 600 Ks on the highway, except for the worst of circumstances. So that's a huge difference. That's Tesla's rear wheel drive long range.
Rear wheel drive.
Rear wheel drive long range. So that's the second cheapest Model 3. So you have the rear wheel drive standard range, and then you
Right.
have the rear wheel drive long range. And in fact, I've got it here actually.
Carmen, there was a
yeah.
gentleman that did 800 kilometres in that Model 3, averaging 80 kilometres an hour.
Wow!
So this is the Australian site. I'm just trying to get the website to change. They quote 750 Ks WLTP. That's not entirely accurate, but it's relative.
Yes.
If you compare that with, say, for example, the performance all-wheel drive, it's 571 indicative, but the long range rear wheel drive is 750 Ks. But let's call it 600 practical, and that is 70,554 Ks. Sorry, I'll put it in pearl white. 68. Let's call it 69,000 Ks. Dollars.
Wow.
Sorry, for the Model 3, and it does 0 to 105.2 seconds, which is compared to petrol cars, that's really quick.
Well,
So,
but that's so cheap. I mean, it
yep,
doesn't, that's new.
yes, it is. Yes. So
Well,
previously there was
mm,
a all-wheel drive long range. I forget what its price was. I think this is definitely cheaper than that. I think it might have been about 65,000, perhaps. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
actually great value. And to be honest, no one cares about the 5.2 kilometers, 5.2 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour,
um,
because that's lightning fast. That's approaching
that's
the fastest.
illegal.
Well, I mean, you can look like a bit of an idiot if you just burn everyone off at the lights. Like it just looks dumb. Or look, this looks immature. So yeah, that's great value for
That's called fun.
$69,000.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but the bad thing is that it makes our cars worth nothing.
No, no. Yeah, but Carmen, it's not. Well, yes and no. Well, but the thing is, if you're happy with the car you drive, then its value or lack of value is irrelevant. It's only relevant if you want to change it to something else. It's a little bit like a house, what your house is worth is meaningless if its sole purpose is to house you. I mean that's slightly skewed case because a lot of Australians take houses as investments, whereby,
No, I
that's a
get it.
debatable thing.
I get it,
But
but for example, I love my car and I don't have a problem with it, but the range is not fabulous. And I'm finding that for some reason or other, it's using more power and the charging is lasting less. It's
okay.
now 5 years old.
Yep. So yeah, well that's true. So it'll probably have about 10 or 15% degradation, perhaps. But the main thing is there's a couple of things because you have to charge it away from home.
Yep.
The act of charging becomes a chore. So then you're sort of more focused on that necessary activity of going to Kings Park or whatever, and
That's true.
and every minute you spend doing it reminds you that it's a chore. Whereas if your strata body would let you properly install anything that you could use, then if you were to arrive home and just plug in, and that would take 5 seconds to plug in, and then when you get back to your car the next morning, it would take 5 seconds to unplug,
It wouldn't be a
then
problem.
it would never be a problem. So there's a psychological aspect of this, but and that's the main thing actually, to be honest. So I mean, if I gave you a car that you would only have to supercharge half as often, then it would suck half as much, but it would still suck to have to deliberately have to go somewhere and spend time sitting somewhere doing nothing but charging purely because you can't do it at home. I mean, that's that's just one
Yeah,
of those
no.
things.
No,
Um,
I get it, and it's true. But I'm now aware of running out, whereas before I
yes, I
wasn't
know.
aware of running out.
Yes, but that's because, but unfortunately, that's not a problem the car created. It's the situation you're in with the
Yeah,
strata company
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So, um,
yeah.
and like I said, yeah, you could, and I think you've got a standard range Model 3.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, yeah. So, look, I mean, having this long range Model 3 would be great, but I mean, the thing is, Pete and I went around Australia. It was his first lap, my second lap, in a standard range Model 3, Model Y. We each went in separate cars in opposite directions. And that was actually Tesla's shortest range car they ever produced. And that's on a what you call a fat Model Y, which is nowhere near as efficient as a Model 3.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, there were parts where that was a bit difficult, challenging doing 400 kilometers between Broome and Fitzroy Crossing, or Fitzroy Crossing and Broome. But we just had to adjust our style. When you've got fast DC charging on a road trip, so if you were to drive down to Albany or Margaret River, you'd hardly notice a difference, because even if your car was at 50%, well, 50% would get you, say on the way to Albany, would get you to Williams, And I guarantee you plug in at Williams, go to the woolshed, go and order a coffee and a scone or something. I guarantee you that your car will be ready to go before you finished it, or before you, like, it'll take time to receive it, and then by the time you've consumed it, your car will be ready to go. And then at worst, you might do a very quick top up of Cogen up, and it won't interfere with your journey because shorter range cars don't care. It doesn't matter when you've got regular fast charging. But like I said, in your case, because you literally have to go, you look at your app and you go, oh no, my car's down to 30%. Now I've got to go to Kings Park for half an hour. It's a pain. In fact, just driving there probably takes 10 minutes, depending on the time of day, and then driving back. So it's like a 1 hour journey just to do a chore, and therefore it becomes a chore. But yeah, look, Tesla always is improving. So, the best time to buy a Tesla.
There is no way to increase the range with what I have now.
No, you've just got the physics of what it is. No, you definitely can't.
You
But the best way to solve your problem as being annoyed at having to charge your car is simply to charge it where you live. Now I know that's easier, much easier said than done. But if you simply did that, then any concern about your car only having 300 k's of range or whatever it's got. Oh, now when you talk about it consuming energy, so if you can and if you're comfortable in doing so, if it's appropriate, turn off Sentry mode while you're at home. So set home as a favorite. Oh, sorry. Under Sentry mode, exclude home, because that will consume about 10% of your battery every day, every 24-hour period. So let's say, for example, you parked your car at home. Actually, it doesn't really matter, because if you park it at home or away from home and you've got Sentry mode running, in 24 hours, it'll use about 10% of your battery. So in 10 days, it'll go from full to flat.
Okay.
In less than a week. So in 10 days.
So where do I find Sentry mode?
It's under safety, I think it is.
It is under safety.
I think it's under safety. And when you look up Sentry, it has a little checkbox that says exclude home, exclude work, and exclude favorites. So,
if you're looking for it in the app, it's under.
No, it's not under there, Cameron, because on the app you can just tell it to stop. But
it's under security. It's under security.
Yes,
but all you can do is put it on and off.
No, yeah, okay, yeah. But on your car, in the menu of your car, under the safety or security of your car, you can you can then say exclude home, and as long as you set where you live as home,
I have.
Then it will once you're in that area, it'll not turn Sentry mode on. That will save you 10% per day.
Yeah,
so
I've noticed it's gone down a lot.
Yes, but that's because you don't charge every day, unlike most home charging people.
Yep.
So you don't really notice. But it does add up very quickly after, say, even just a few days. You'll lose 20, 30, 40% with no driving.
Okay.
And also under the charging menu, just have a look on your app.
Yeah.
See if you don't have keep accessory power turned on.
Key accessory. I've got find charges, charge stats, scheduled charging. No, I don't have it on here.
Yeah, so keep going down. So under scheduled charging, then it should say manage payment, then power mode, and then keep accessory power on.
No, it's got manage payment, then low power mode, keep accessory power on. Yes.
Yeah, so turn that one off.
Okay.
So because what that does, it keeps your USB ports active.
Okay.
And that drains a tiny bit of power as well.
Okay. Just while I've got the attention, who pays for the DC Tesla chargers?
What do you mean? Who pays for them?
Who owns them?
Tesla does. In Australia, Tesla
Yeah.
does.
So does our government pay for any of that?
No.
No,
Th-
not in
there is
WA.
there is an option for third parties to purchase it now, for businesses, etc., and white label it with their own brand name. But I'm not aware of any that have been installed yet in Australia under that program.
Does the government subsidize anything to do with Tesla for ordinary drivers?
No,
Because
no.
there is rumors going around. I don't know if you got my email under secretary to Tesla to
Oh no, I don't get
Harold.
secretary emails anymore
Oh,
because
who
Pete
gets
gets
them?
them.
That's
Pete
big.
gets them.
I do.
Oh, so that means you've got it, Pete.
Okay. When did
Yeah,
you?
so come if you want to send me an email, just send it to chair@topwa.org.au.
Okay. Okay.
But so when you say rumors, so what rumors are you saying?
Oh, I was speaking to a politician at a function,
Yep.
and she was sort of giving out not correct information about EVs, and it came from people that were asking questions. Most of them, of course, didn't have an EV, so I extolled a few of the virtues of having an EV, but she was under the impression that we don't pay taxes to help road tax, and also that the government somehow subsidizes people that drive EVs.
Yep.
And I said, well, I'm not aware any of that, but I will ask the question. I don't
Yep.
want to give you incorrect information, so I'll
Yep.
ask Tokwa.
Okay. Yep. So the correct thing is at the moment. So let's call it a road tax. There is a fuel excise that's on petrol and diesel. That is 30 or 40 cents per litre of
Yes.
petrol or diesel purchased.
Yep.
And that I'm pretty sure it goes to consolidated federal revenue,
Yes, it
but
does.
it's apportioned. There's a portion of that is put on federal roads and road funding for maintenance and new roads, whatever. So, and EVs don't, there is no excise on the electricity for the purpose of a road tax. So it is true that at the moment, an EV does not pay for road funding by means of a energy cost or a fuel cost. That is true. Now, it is true that the state of Victoria actually introduced a road user charge specific to EVs, and it was appealed in the High Court, and the High Court struck down that legislation, that state-based legislation, because it deemed it to be unconstitutional. Basically, the state wasn't allowed to levy. And I think it was because of the way the tax was enacted, it was in violation of the Constitution. Now, it is, if we put aside the environmental aspects and the good that EVs do to the environment because of air pollution, blah blah blah, then it is not inappropriate for EVs, if the purpose of gathering a tax is to literally pay for road damage that all vehicles do to roads, and if it's thought that that's appropriate for the owners of those vehicles to pay for that, then it is fair for EVs on that metric alone to pay. And eventually it will come to pass. A federal government will enact federal legislation requiring a road user charge. New Zealand has already done it. They have in New Zealand they have a fuel excise on petrol but not on diesel. So if you own a diesel passenger vehicle, you have to get a road user charge ticket, basically, and it goes by cents per kilometre, and it's prepaid. So you prepay an allotment of kilometres, and I think you get to choose whether it's 10,000, whatever. And EVs in New Zealand do pay this road user charge as well. So that's the tax thing. Now, there is currently various state governments have had some incentives for the uptake of EVs. WA government had one recently that lapsed some months ago, which was $3,500 rebate on EVs. I think it was below a certain price, and that's now lapsed. The federal government has what currently still is one of the best incentives to get an EV, which was the zero rating of the fringe benefits tax. If either you got a novated lease on a compliant EV, or if you had your own small business and got that business to own that EV and then let you use it. The great thing was you don't have to establish business use. It can all be private use. You can have multiple cars that one employee can get from that business, and you can novate several cars through the one job, providing the employer allows you to do that. And some employers can't be bothered, quite frankly, because they consider it to be a paperwork issue. But if you've got your own small business, you can buy several EVs and you can use them 100% for private use. And all that happens is the FBT that still needs to be calculated is zero rated. So you then, as the owner of that business or the recipient of that benefit, you get a statement in your tax return that is a reportable fringe benefit. And what that can affect is your entitlement to family tax benefits and a concessional super rate, or the limit of a concessional super contribution. But it's a great incentive. Currently, there is a very strong push in the current federal government, it seems, to have this turned over or sunsetted, stopped. So what happens with that is yet to be seen. But that's the... Oh, and then some other state governments, notably the Queensland state government and the New South Wales state government, have had fairly good incentives for fast DC charging, which included Tesla, for example. And if you go in the northern parts or more remote parts of Queensland, quite a few of the supercharger sites have a sticker applied to it that says co-funded with the Queensland state government. And I believe quite a few sites in New South Wales have as well.
Oh,
For
okay.
completeness, in WA, Tesla was not able to apply for any of this funding because I think they were too large. Actually, Paul,
Yes.
you'd know better. It was basically their size, wasn't it? Enterprise size, I think.
Yeah,
It
the
was basically too large.
Tesla Australia had too many employees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Such a stupid thing. So,
Well,
but yeah,
yeah.
it's
So,
co-funded
to
grant.
complete your answer though, what Harold did, he qualified his comments at the beginning. He said, if you ignore the environmental benefits and the benefits to, clean air, etc., but we shouldn't ignore those because
Well, it's also the fumes and the fact that it's quiet. I also rang a fiery and asked him if was there any evidence between fires caused by lithium batteries or normal combustion cars. And he said, no, there's absolutely no evidence. And in fact, in fires, the lithium batteries burn to the end, but they do less damage.
Yes, and there's footage after footage. I saw a classic on X that showed a car on fire in let's call it the center lane of a freeway, so in between, like on the inner lane, and 3 cars passed by sort of 3 lanes away or 2 lanes away, and this car sort of, basically exploded, and this huge, it's like this big thing of vaporizing petrol just shot across the 3-4 lanes and engulfed these 3 cars as they passed. Now, of course, the physics is they just passed through it. They were okay, but it was very spectacular as like this huge flame jetting dozens of meters away from the car. Now, an EV will burn very intensely, but it will just burn locally to the car. It's not going to
Yes.
have liquid pouring out or
Yes.
jetting out
Yes.
tens of meters or maybe even 100 meters down the road and then burning other stuff.
Yes.
So
I've been told that it stays in the area where the fire started, and it doesn't spread.
exactly right. That's right. So unfortunately, people,
Mm.
and it's generally more conservative people, or it's just people that are more conservative in their thinking. And we've spoken about this before, no doubt the same thing sort of happened when people had the horse and buggy age, and then these exotic things called motor cars came out, and they were lampooned because they were basic and not really fit for general purpose. It's easy for anyone to say, yeah, but they catch on fire, or they'll quote one fire here or one fire there. I mean, like I said before, I've lost count of how many times I've heard on the radio that, when they have a traffic report, they'll go, such and such, there's a car fire on Tonkin Highway, or there's a car fire on Reed Highway, or there's a car fire on here or there or wherever. Well, guess what? None of them have been EVs in WA. It's just far too easy for people to say, yeah, but they catch on fire and they're spectacular. I mean, anything that burns is pretty spectacular when it catches on fire. But the chances of it doing it, in Australia, I think there have been 2 documented cases, both of which are cars. One was a Tesla, both of which are cars that had damage caused externally. So the Tesla, it ran over a piece of like road debris, and it was some hefty piece of debris that it punctured the battery pack, and yes, it caught on fire. The other one was a non-Tesla that had some accident damage, and I think someone repaired it or something. There was something wrong with it, and it caught on fire. But in Australia, there's been 2, and
Since when?
since ever,
Time.
So
since ever,
that's
and then
about 2015.
or not even. Oh no, before then, probably 2005 or something like that. And there have been tens of thousands, doubtless, petrol car fires.
Yes. Yep.
Well,
Yep.
Paul.
there's been 6. If you
Is it 6?
really-
Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, let's call it 6 compared to
but like
thousands.
3 were deliberate, like insurance bullshit, and a couple were the place caught on fire, then the car caught on fire, that sort of stuff.
Oh, well,
and,
actually,
and the other
yeah.
one was the truck that punctured the pack, like you said. So
That's
just
right.
so
So
you know.
if we call it, okay, so it does not count if a house
No.
was set on fire
No,
or caught
of
on
course.
fire,
Yeah.
and the contents of the garage burnt, because I mean,
Yeah.
EVs haven't got magical properties that are fireproof.
No, exactly.
They'll-
Yeah, exactly.
They burn the same as anything else.
Yeah.
But legitimate, let's call it on the road fires.
Yes.
Yes, there's been one.
No, it's 2. There was a Tesla and there was this other thing. It wasn't a Tesla. It was some other.
Was it a Leaf?
No, it wasn't a Leaf. It was something else. But I know it wasn't a
hybrid or
Leaf.
something.
No, it was an EV, but it was damaged. There was some
Okay.
damage that had happened.
Yeah.
I can't exactly remember. You have to Google it. But let's call it 2 legitimate on-road events
Yeah.
compared to all the other cars that have just spontaneously burnt.
Okay.
I've put that link in the chat if anybody's interested. In
Yeah,
the
I
jet
just saw
fire.
I saw that come through, Mike, and I'll grab it. Thank you.
So,
don't know
Carmen,
if you
on
wanna-
that
if you're
fuel.
allowed
Oh, that's the one, Mike. That's it. I'll
Yeah, I know.
Wow,
That's what I put it in for
incredible.
you.
The car just exploded while 2
Sorry, I've got to turn the sound off.
So I can tell you, as a risk engineer, it would be you'd have to do something really interesting to get a lithium battery to do that. That you'll see.
Yes. So this is.
It
I'll
can
just
be
try and
done. The mean
get
fire
this
would be
to-
doing the wrong thing, but that's why we have to have those little blue triangles.
No, don't start. Don't
Don't start him.
Mike.
Don't start him, man.
Don't
Don't
start
start him
him.
on that shit.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if we can get this to play. But of course, as physics would dictate, the cars that went through were perfectly all right. I mean, because they're only in the flame for milliseconds. But an EV cannot do that. And what would that distance be? That would
That's a
be,
bloody fireball and a half.
Yeah,
that's
it
pretty
is.
good.
Yeah, that's like 30 meters, probably more.
probably more because it goes off the other side of the road there.
It does too, yeah. It's pretty specky, and you can actually see the classic. You've actually got the front of that bit there is the atomized fuel just waiting to mix with oxygen and the heat.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
It goes across like 6 or more lanes.
Yeah, something
yes,
like that.
yeah, or 4 lanes, yes.
No,
But
Nobody stops. Everybody just keeps going.
Oh, when the fireys get there, they stop. I think somebody gets out and tells them, "Oh, stop sneaking past."
4.5.
yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3. Let's call it 3 lanes plus the emergency stopping lane. But
And he
it
goes
certainly
past that.
jetted well past that.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty specky, and an EV's got 2 chances of doing that. Literally Buckley's and none.
Yeah, exactly.
It just can't do that. It's just not possible. But yeah, thanks for that, Mike. That was the one I saw a few days ago. And
Yeah, I put it in my likes for future reference. My risk
Yeah.
engineering hat. I like explosions and fires.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, and fireys will say, yeah, they're developing techniques. They do things like they'll put a fire blanket over it, and they sometimes might put like sprayers or a tray under the EV and just basically try and smother it with water and look, if that takes hours, that's not the point, because the risk of an EV catching on fire is less than 10% of an average
No,
fossil car.
this guy said all that, and he said that there is absolutely no evidence because the fire laws are about to change, and now it's there's a lot more compliance. In the past, they haven't been monitored or enforced, and now because of all the new apartments, they're going to change all the fire laws. And so he came to give a presentation. Yeah.
And the funny thing too is, alluding to what Pete said, which I alluded to, which is, if you ignore all the externalities, then, yes, you should tax this and that and whatever. You look at any any enclosed car park, they often have annoying tin or it's not tin, it's zinc plated sheet metal ducting, which is designed and is necessary to pump in fresh air into the furthest corner of a enclosed car park, which has got multiple cars. I mean, garages don't do this for houses, but all commercial and large residential car parks that are enclosed, so whether it's underground or in a podium for multi-story apartments, they all have carbon monoxide sensors, and they have a lot of ductwork with large fans, and this has to be designed at the system level to blow fresh air. And I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been at the Good Grocer in South Perth where there's a single-story underground car park or an undercroft car park, and it just reeks of unburnt fuel. It's a terrible, terrible environment, and this is actually being ventilated up into the mall, or whatever you want to call it, a corridor that's interior to the building. It's on the first level, and there's an open staircase that just vents this warm air that just goes in. It's just a terrible atmosphere, literally. And I keep thinking, if this place was full of EVs, you wouldn't need any of this ductwork, and it's expensive and it's inconvenient because it reduces your head clearance, and it's just a whole lot of infrastructure that would not be required if all cars were EVs, But
diesel particulates are particularly yucky.
tell you what, and this same car park, I happened to have parked in a spot where there was a double GPO, double PowerPoint, and I could not believe the grossness of the black soot that was sitting on top of every horizontal layer, whether it was the top part of the GPO or where the pins are at the active and neutral pins are at an angle. Inside, you could just see this black outline. It was like eyeliner of all the diesel particulates.
Yeah, well, I know this because I'm living in Hood Street and I've got a big balcony, and the Coles trucks come past every day, and there's a lot of vehicles and there's motorbikes and so on. And I clean my balcony daily, and it's black. Yep. So I've had to get a hose, and I now have to hose it down.
So
Mel,
Mel,
that might be tyre rubber though.
oh, I don't think so, Mike, because
Ground.
upstairs the rubber's not going to float that up. It's going to be
Very fine.
PM.
I'm
Idea.
pretty low
Yeah.
to the ground.
we-
It's sort of
Oh.
about 6-foot men. I can see the head. So it's about
If
6
you look
foot
at
off the
underground
ground.
car parks, it's just caked. And if you look at the overhead sewage pipes and all that sort of stuff,
Mhm.
just look at any building that's more than a few years old, underground car park.
Yeah, it's shocking.
And any surface that has even if it's curved like a pipe, if you look towards the top part of it, it's just black.
Yep.
It's just black and it's gross. And that's the stuff that's getting in our lungs. Now, Mel Herbert, he used to be on a great podcast called Talking Tesla, based in the States, but he was born in Australia, and he is an emergency physician. And he said, sadly, he saw the lungs of a 9-year-old boy that had died. And he said, and obviously this kid was not a smoker, lived in, I think, LA, and the inside of his lungs were just black. And that was just from all the pollution.
Wow.
And
this
we,
was not a smoker. This was just a child that lived in LA, and the interior of his lungs were black.
and we haven't even touched on carbon monoxide yet, and
Yeah,
other stuff.
all the other stuff.
Sulfur
Yep.
dioxides and all the shit. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So based on all this, Carmen, what I think you should do is I think you should petition your homeowners association to ban internal combustion engine vehicles from the underground car park.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know if they have got a fire clearance. That's what I've asked. I've said, okay, I've done my bit and I found out about my vehicle, but have you got a fire clearance? I'd like to see everybody's place.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially since your cars are 10 times more likely to be set on to
Catch on fire.
catch on
Yep.
fire. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But going,
Anyway, I've had 3 electricians and no one wants to do anything because they all say it's too complicated.
Yeah, it's frustrating, Carmen. It's thankfully for new builds, it's actually part of the building
Yes, code.
albeit it's still expensive.
I'm going to write to the local member in the government and ask what are they doing about these old buildings, or
Good
older.
point. Yep.
It's only 20 years old, but I'll give them all this information that I've now collated and say, I feel I'm disadvantaged.
Well,
I've bought an EV to be safer and I'm not.
Yep. So given that the state government has commendably had the charge up program for various versions of slow and fast DC chargers, whereby they provide a 50% subsidy, I think the next thing they should do for fairness is to have a program aimed at exactly places where you are, Carmen, whereby there are people living in older buildings that are buying EVs that are specifically disadvantaged, and it's because either the attitude of the strata company, and also, like, that's easily addressed. You could just say that they can't block you from unreasonably doing something, But the other thing too is some buildings, it really actually is true that they are power constrained, especially since many of them were built before everyone had air conditioning, and a lot of these apartments or whatever have been upgraded with air cons, and that was an extra level. And things like induction cooktops, which again are much better for the environment, much better than gas cooktops for health and all that, safety and all that sort of stuff. But it is often true that complexes are short on power.
Well, the
So
10 amp power point should solve all that, and
oh
they,
yes,
yeah.
so
So
yes,
you
that's
know,
right. So in your case, it should just be an attitudinal correction whereby for a reasonable cost
yeah.
that you should be able to just do it yourself, and you should not be blocked. In fact, you should be actively encouraged. But the state government could then actually help the issue by actively seeking to modernise buildings that that don't have this facility. I mean, bearing in mind the in the 1970s, the state government actively encouraged the use of natural gas to the point whereby they actually subsidised and facilitated the upgrading of entire suburbs to have natural gas piped through suburbs that didn't have it before. So it's not unprecedented that governments have made positive action to get change. And like I said, it would be a shame to.
Well, that's another issue because in new apartments, they don't install gas anymore. They only do induction. But
Exactly.
here there's gas. And
Yes.
that's another thing I don't like. Yeah, I've
Yes.
never
Yes.
used it.
Yes. So that would be something good for the state government to do to assist in preventing people in strata bodies from resisting or just blocking the installation of basic EV charging, even where there is no power constraint or minimal power constraint. That's something they should do legislatively or by regulation, but also actively for many places that do need some upgrading to help out. They should subsidise that for the greater good, because otherwise the next choice is, well, maybe it's easier just to demolish the place and build another one, which some developers might like to do that, but the role of government is always to often expend widely sourced funds into certain regions or certain things for the greater good. And that's just what governments do.
Yes, do.
So absolutely.
Eventually that'll happen here because it's only 3-story and they're building 15 stories across the road from Coles. But the apartments are not really in bad condition. They're only 19 years old. So I don't think it'll happen in a short time, but eventually it will. Yeah.
Yeah, sure as day follows night, it will happen because it'll just be a compelling deal that the cost of buying off 20 apartments in a 3-story complex is vastly cheaper than the dozens of millions they're going to get from a 15-story 50 apartment or 60, 70 apartment or 100 apartment building. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we're getting towards the end of the program. That's really flown on quickly. So, time flies when you're having fun. And sometimes even faster when you're not. Any last sort of questions or comments?
Harold, I had a comment.
Yes, Norm, sorry, you got your hand up. I didn't. Yes, go.
So I noticed a noticeable improvement in the way the Apple Watch now integrates with the car. Like walk-away door lock seems to work without any problem. The unlock works.
Oh, very good.
I just have my watch and the car will open.
Oh, not on the app. Not on the app on the watch.
On the watch, yeah.
You can use your watch as a key, so it'll actually work the same as if you have a phone. So if you don't have your phone on you for whatever reason, the watch will do really well by itself.
Oh, really? How?
Yep. Oh, it's automatic. So if you've got an Apple iWatch,
I do.
And by necessity, you'll have almost obviously you'll have an iPhone.
Yep.
So I'm pretty sure as long as the two are paired, your Tesla app will be automatic.
It
I think they
is.
call
It
it
is here.
complications. It's
I
automatically
haven't
there.
noticed. It is here, and I
Yes,
can see
yes,
it. Oh,
yes.
that's
So
good.
then,
That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and then you can play, and you do have to, if you
I
wanted
set
to
it
use
up.
it as a key, you have to set your watch up
It's
as a
pairing
key.
right now.
Yep, as a key, and then you don't need your phone. Although I mean, most people have their phone on them anyway. But just in case, it can be quite useful if, let's just say, your phone battery went flat or whatever, broke or something, then your watch would still be working, presumably, and you could use it. Yeah, that's a
Well,
good tip, Norm.
that's excellent. I have to admit that I locked myself out in the balcony, and I didn't have a phone. I was playing with my pot plants, and I don't know how it happened. Well, I know I shut the glass door instead of the firewire because there were a few mozzies. And you wouldn't believe it, but the sliding door locked.
That's
So I
not
was
great. Yep,
I was
you're
going to,
stranded.
yeah, I was no phone. So I decided that I would jump from the balcony because it's not that bad, and there is a bit of a foothold on a design feature. I thought I'd wave people coming past because I'm at the level of a 6 foot man sort of thing.
Yep, yep.
They were all young ones coming past, and they all had ear pods on, and they didn't
Oh,
hear me. And I kept saying, "Excuse me, excuse me." So in the end, I thought, oh well, before I jump, because I didn't have good shoes on, I thought before I jump onto the pavement, I'll just wait a few minutes to see if anybody else comes past. And lo and behold, someone from the building I recognized, and I flagged him down and said, luckily, my door coming in from inside the complex was not locked. It was not open, but it was not locked because I'd had a friend visit. And I said, would you mind going around, coming through my front door and opening the balcony door because I'm stranded? And he
yeah,
didn't.
yep. Well, you could have actually used your phone, sorry, your watch, depending
Yes,
on how many years old it is.
yes.
Oh,
No,
and
no,
also,
it's,
sorry, if it's got an eSIM, if it's got the
yes.
GSM
Yeah, yeah.
feature, you could actually make a phone call with your watch.
Yeah, yeah. No, I knew that, but it just escaped me. I only just thought
Yeah,
of it when that was
yeah,
mentioned, and I was trying to find ways of getting out.
yes, yep,
Yeah,
yep,
but
yep,
I think
absolutely.
the door must have a faulty latch because I don't understand how it happened.
Yeah, you shouldn't on a balcony. That's not a great thing to happen.
No,
That's
it
not great.
isn't. And no, so that was the so far the only negative experience. Everything else has gone reasonably well, apart from the charging, the suit, and the locking.
Exactly, exactly.
But just
All
just
right.
some tips just some tips on the Apple Watch, because not all Apple Watches are equal.
Okay.
And so what I found, Carmen, with mine, so I've got a Watch 10, so it's the generation before the current, I think. I think we're on 11
Okay.
now. And it does have the feature where it stays on all the time if you want it, but I don't do that. So I have it turned off. But the older versions of the Apple Watch, probably like the 8s and 9s and
Yep.
8s and 9s, were not always on. So they would go to sleep. So what I would find is I could open the car and open the
Oh,
door. And then when I went to sit down, the screen would flash Bluetooth or key not connected, because the watch had
oh,
gone to sleep while I was
Yep.
sitting in the car and putting my
oh.
seatbelt on or doing whatever you do. So either have a watch and you keep it on all the time, or just remember to flick your wrist around, because once you're going, it's okay. But
Oh,
initially,
okay.
Yep.
to get going, if the watch has turned itself off, then the Bluetooth might have
Oh,
powered down. So just a
okay.
little tip there.
And I
Oh,
dare say,
thank
Mike,
you.
sadly, in these modern times, most of us get stressed out without a phone, within arm's
Yes.
reach. But it's great as a backup. So it's certainly
Yeah.
useful if you've got an iWatch to
Yeah.
add it as a phone key.
Yes.
And that way, if for whatever reason you've lost your phone or your just dropped it and it's smashed in a million pieces, or you dropped it and the car ran over it, or something silly like that. Also, anyone in any circumstance, always it's often useful if you've got a partner or a friend or whatever that has got a Tesla app. They can get them, like, get someone that you know, like a close
Yes,
relative,
my son,
to well, exactly, to have access to your account on their phone.
They do.
Now, you've got to be
He does.
careful because Tesla has got two-factor authentication, and if they want to freshly log into your account, and then Tesla sends a two-factor authentication token to your dead phone, that becomes an issue. But having said that, there is always the possibility of ringing Tesla roadside assistance and saying, hey, I can't start my car because my phone's smashed. I'm ringing you on my iWatch or any stranger's phone. You can always talk them through unlocking your car and making it ready to drive.
Oh, okay.
So that's always a possibility for anyone, anywhere or anywhere. I guess the main point is always keep thinking, what's my next step? I can use my phone's flat. Okay, I can't use that. I've got a watch. I can use that or can't use that. Now, I've got a friend that's got my account. That's fine. I don't have a friend that's got that account and I've got two-factor. Just ring Tesla roadside. And you've got to go through a few hoops necessarily, because you don't want random people saying, because the other thing too is I'll say, well, who are you? And you can give the VIN of your car, because you can always see it on the outside in the windscreen.
Yeah.
So all Teslas, you can read the VIN, and then you can give them your personal details that prove you're the owner.
Okay.
Because I don't want someone willy-nilly just
Of course.
starting your car at random.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, there's always
Actually,
many ways.
My watch is not pairing because it says that my car is asleep.
Yes.
So I'll go down and do it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
also my app says the name of my car and WAAL. What is that?
Not sure. Unless you got special characters in the name of your car or something, or
No,
not sure.
no. I've been playing with settings to change a few things.
Yeah, just
So,
hold down on it. You can hold down on it on the app, and it will enable you to change.
Oh, it has added, you're right, it added to it. I've done it and I've taken it off. Well done.
Yep.
I
Very
don't
good.
know how that happened.
Just the
Excellent.
last thing with the watch, it is less powerful, so the Bluetooth is a shorter range. Just be aware of that. If you're used to going up to it with your phone, basically the car will see you coming unless you're really pacing up to it. But with the watch, you've really got to be a bit close for a second.
Okay.
It seems like forever compared with the watch, but it's only a second or two, and it's got to be away. So the watch has its benefits, but it's got some slight disadvantage because it's a less powerful machine.
Okay.
And one last thing too is don't discount your RFID card, which every when you buy a brand new Tesla, you always get two. It's super useful to have one of those in your wallet or purse or whatever as another final backup.
That is
because
true.
you never have to use it, because it's a pain in the rear end to have to use it. The watch or phone is so much more convenient, but it's great to have it as a emergency backup. And also sometimes if you go to a tire place or other mechanic, it's great to be able to hand it to them, and then they can unlock the car so it doesn't.
That's true, but I put it in my. I had it in my handbag for a while, but then if I lost the handbag or I decided to take it out, but I think I will put it back.
No, look, its purpose. You don't need to worry if you lose it, because you can very quickly delete it. And after all, if someone finds it on on a footpath or whatever, well, then they need to be able to guess the correct car to use it, because there's no ID on the card.
Okay.
So don't be concerned about keeping it with you, or don't be concerned about losing it. It's much more useful as a thing of last resort. So in my wallet, I've still got my the folder that I got the original two cards from, and there's always still the one I can't even open this. It's actually closed. There's still, oh, you can't really see, but there's still one card up
Oh,
here, which
yes,
side it
yes,
is.
yeah,
There's still one card in that, but the other card's in my wallet. It just lives there.
yeah,
And I never ever use it. And I've
yeah,
used it once, I think, for Tyre Power to get new donuts,
yeah,
and I just give it to
yeah.
them. But
Well, my app often asks to use the card.
uh, it it may, if there's no Bluetooth, or
Okay.
it
Oh,
will
yeah.
always, if you want to add something like a phone key, not always a phone key, but
Okay.
sometimes it, or if you want to delete something, it'll ask you to badge a registered
I
card.
think it's because there's no Wi-Fi in the garage.
No, Carmen, it's more likely because you have an iPhone, correct?
Yep.
So when the screen goes black,
Yes.
sometimes it turns off Bluetooth to conserve power.
Oh.
All you have to do is just tap on the screen to wake up the phone.
Oh.
It comes on, and then the car knows you're there.
Oh. Okay. Oh, we've learned a lot tonight.
Because the car
Yes.
can't know that you're near the car if Bluetooth's been turned off on your phone.
Okay.
I don't know if you
Perfect.
mentioned this at the start, Harold, just the final thing, seeing we're at 9:40. I don't know if any of you are awake, but Tesla servers were down night before last. Did any of you pick that up? And the way I
No.
recognised it was that when I opened up my app, because I just want to see whether it had finished charging or not, where it normally says asleep for 2 hours or last seen 15 minutes ago or whatever it says, it actually had 404 not available or whatever it said. There's a particular thing. So I thought, oh, my Wi-Fi's down, you know, or some other thing. And then I did a net search on what that particular phrase meant, and it said it's usually because the servers are down because they're doing maintenance or something. And the next day on X, it was across the board through the states everywhere. So I had the servers down for whatever reason for probably about 4 to 6 hours, because I eventually went to bed. So if you were somebody on night shift, I could still communicate. So I went out to the car, I could still communicate, but I couldn't see that it had charged. So all that text where it tells you what the state of charge is was missing on mine. But for others, some people were saying they couldn't drive their car, which I find highly unlikely.
Now, and the reason why is they probably did things like rely on remote starting the car rather than using a phone key or a RFID card. And that is very risky because that relies on all the communications everywhere from working. And that includes from your phone to Tesla's server and Tesla's server running and the connection to your car working. And mate of mine, Jason, him and his family were in Canberra. They were in an underground car park, and something happened whereby the key fob wasn't working. This is a Model X, which doesn't have phone keys. So, for whatever reason, the key fob didn't work, or maybe it was in the car and it got locked in the car or something. And because they're in an underground car park, the car had no data signal. Then, thankfully, Tim, Jason's son, had previously tethered his Samsung phone to the car, or tethered the car to the phone to get internet. So what he did was he set up a hotspot on his phone to the car, so then his father could go upstairs, or I think they might have had phone coverage underground, but the car didn't have internet underground, and they could then, by basically using the tethering of the car to a phone with internet, remotely start the car. But it's very risky. In this case, it worked out well because Tesla were going to have to tow it out of the car park to get it started. That was the other alternative, because they could not see the car. There was no communications to the car because it was an underground car park that didn't have mobile communications. So that's another thing. It's always great to have an RFID card. So Mike, when you say some people couldn't start their car, it's because they've been accustomed to effectively remote starting the car. Maybe because they've got a partner and for whatever reason, maybe look, and it could be an old Model X or an S whereby they've lost the fob and they've just become or the battery and the fob has gone flat, and because you can't use a phone key on the older S's and X's, it doesn't have that technology, and they've just become accustomed as, oh well, we just go remote start, which usually works really well until it doesn't.
Yeah, I don't think for most people. I think it was the Tesla Newswire person or whatever they are on X, because they just obviously transmit news, so I have that as a follow, and they just said that for some reason a lot of cars were removed from the Tesla database. They just disappeared off the database. So that little bit of information that it communicates backwards and forwards, it knows your car just wasn't there. But I could get into my car, I could actually start it. I tried it. It would, go into gear, shall we say? I mean, obviously I've got an old 3, but still. So, but it was off for a long time, like 6 hours or something. So it was interesting. So I don't know whether they were doing some interesting changes, if you know what I mean, with the hardware on their end.
It could be
doing a software update that went astray.
And it could be another provider, because Tesla doesn't have their own backbone. They'd be going through a provider of some sort. Okay. So it could have been, you hear about Cloudflare and Cloudflare and all those others. They can have systematic breakdowns whereby, they lose a whole quadrant of North America. But the problem is many companies route all their stuff through that one portal, and they don't have appropriate backups that are automatic failover. So they can get bitten even though you think they shouldn't. So sometimes you can get some weird effects. Yes. Alrighty. All good. Well, after that this blockbuster episode, at least for modern times, any very last minute questions or comments? No, I think we're all
one
good.
More.
Oh, yes, Norm.
One more. I've lost connectivity intermittently, and I've raised a service request. So I'll be going in there. I just wondered if anyone else has had problems with connectivity.
In what sense, Norm? Do you mean
mobile? So like when I'm driving, it'll say navigating without connectivity.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, so do you mean while you're in the middle of a trip, or do you mean when you first start a trip, say when you leave home?
Oh, like as it disconnects from the wireless, then it says no connectivity. I can still drive and all that, but
yes,
it doesn't pick up live data.
It does happen fairly often, to be honest. I often get it when I leave home, or when I'm when I'm in drive, because what happens is when you are parked, the car will try and use Wi-Fi, which if you're at home, it obviously uses the home Wi-Fi. As soon as you put it in drive, it disconnects off Wi-Fi and goes to the mobile network.
Yeah.
Now, for whatever reason, and it frustrates me no end, it'll say offline address lookup or something like offline address lookup. You type in something and it says cannot find offline address or whatever, and it's very frustrating. And then if you drive sort of 20 meters or 50 meters down the road, it sort of finally gets itself together and does actually connect.
So
it's frustrating.
Might be, just as a question for everybody, there is a setting in it which says keep connected to Wi-Fi when driving or something like that. And so I've turned that off, and I don't have that problem anymore, because I was having it. Because at one stage I was using my phone to Wi-Fi into the system, and so therefore I wanted it connected. And then I stopped using that for a variety of reasons. And until I turned off that little setting, keep connected to Wi-Fi, it's like, I don't know what the exact words are, something like when driving or something like that.
Yep. I'll
so just check
tomorrow.
that, Norm. Just check that that's off.
Yeah.
Unless you are patching it to your phone or something.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
Thank you.
But hopefully, well, maybe Tesla might have some other information that might be useful to you, but maybe not. Cool. Awesome. All right. Pete, how would you round out an awesome show like this as if I didn't already know.
As always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, have a great Valentine's Day this weekend, and then join Tokwa and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy and abundance. Yeah, once again, have a wonderful week, everyone, and I
Good
really do
night.
look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. Good night,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Yeah.
No.